who go right on their way. I told you this before. She ain't looking at those that were drunk last night because they were hung over this morning when it's time to go to church. She ain't looking for those that partied all night because they're sleeping, because they partied like a rock star all night. What she wants to do is see those who are going straight and then call out to them and say, hey, why are you going that way? Come over here. Because she's loud, she's obnoxious, she's boisterous, she doesn't know anything. But what she does know is, if I can convince you to forget what you do know and come hang out with me, I'll take everything good in you and I'll pull it out. The devil wants to be sitting in the sanctuary on Sunday morning because he sees those folk, you're here with the intention that I'm going straight. Well, he doesn't want you to go straight. We're going to read later that the evil man loves to go crooked. If God says, come straight to me just like that, but the evil man says, no, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to meander all the way around. By the time you get over here, God says, too late, I'm gone. That's what she wants. That's what she's doing. She's calling out to those passengers who go right on their way. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. Don't be like her. Whosoever is simple, turn in here where I am. And as for him that wanteth understanding, she said to him, how you going to give understanding and you don't know nothing? How you going to tell me about where I'm going and you ain't got a clue where you going? But that's what she's pretending to do here. She is looking at people, and especially Solomon is talking to younger folk. That's why it's important, if you got any age and any wisdom at all, you should be trying to tell young folk when they're going wrong. But if you don't know, you can't tell them. Foundation work, Sister Kanisha. This is what we found out. The wisdom, especially for the aged, is for you to know what you know, understand what you're understanding, so you can understand the dark secrets and be able to tell the parables so you can become a counselor to those who don't know. And if you're not doing that, you're an old person. You need to check yourself. You need to reevaluate what you do and why you do it. Because if you're not there in a position where you can help somebody along the way, and you 55, 65, 75, 85, 95 years old, you need to check yourself because you're running out of time. All right? But she, on the other hand, is sitting there, and think about it. Whosoever is simple. Excuse me. In my Bible, simple is translated as naive. Or your children are naive. My grandbabies will say things to me sometimes and say, well, Papa, why? And when I'm trying to explain to them, this is for your good. Yeah, but Papa, I don't understand why. I know you don't, but I do. So when I tell you something, listen to me. And when your Mimi is saying, no, don't do this, and she's telling you, this is what you need to do and how you need to do it, it's because the wisdom of her age is kicking in. The experience and the wisdom that she has gone through is kicking in. So he says, when you're looking for this evil person or this evil woman, this evil personified is trying to take your children, that you're trying to put them on the right path. But he's trying to take them off, saying, you know what? That yoke, that law, that order, that structure that you want that child to live in, you know what? Evil is saying, now that your mom and daddy can't see what you're doing, let me show you how to throw that yoke off. Let me show you how to get out from under them so you can be your own person. The worst thing that could have happened to our society was when we started saying, oh, let them express themselves. Let them just, whatever. Don't do that. They don't know because they're children. And if you don't show them, they won't ever know. I tell you what you do. You look at people who have a trained dog in their house. And most of us know them. Most of us know somebody who have a trained dog or cat in their house. And then you look over and you go, what's that? Oh, that's a litter box. Well, what's that for? The cat knows when it's time to do their business, they go in the litter box. Yeah. Well, how does that happen? Because you trained them. The dog knows, go to the door. I got to go outside. Because if you don't let me outside, that rug looks a lot like a clump of grass. I'm going to use it as such. But they don't, because they're trained And how did that happen? Because you trained them. So if you take that time for a cat or a dog, and even if you got fish and it's time to be fed, they understand when you start walking toward the aquarium and you got that food in there, they understand. So they start coming up to the top. But you're going to just leave your child and say, well, they'll figure it out. Let them express them. What? How much sense does that make? Because here is evil personified as a woman said, come over here. I'll show you. And she don't know nothing. She don't have a clue. She's just as wicked and lost as she can be. And the only thing she wants to do is get your children lost with her. So he says, don't do that. Don't listen to her. Look at what she says. Look at verse 17. Stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. She's literally telling them, I'm going to take you into a place where I'm going to tell you straight up, stolen water are sweet. Stolen waters are sweet. Well, we started this by saying wisdom builds her house, hews out the 7 pillars, kills the beast, mangles the wine, sets the table from her own labor and her own work. But then foolishness comes back and says, no, steal it. Because stolen waters are sweet. And bread eaten in secret is pleasure. No, bread that you have earned and worked out and honestly gotten, when you put it on the table in front of your children, they understand and appreciate the necessity of working and being useful so that they can see the fruits of it when they put the food on the table. But the stupidity says, no, that's secret bread, because they understand when you say secret, well, what does that mean? I'm doing it in the hopes that nobody will find out what I'm doing. That makes sense, doesn't it? Wisdom says, here's the benefit. When you get it and she's calling, then you have an appropriate answer. No, I'm not going in there. I'm not doing that. I don't steal. And I don't do stuff behind closed doors thinking, well, ain't nobody gonna find out. Yes, God finds out everything because he knows before you do it what you're about to do. So it's not a matter of if he's going to find out. He already knows what it is you're going to do. And check this out. You can't hide anything from him. Because he's the one who is omnipresent. And if he's omnipresent, that means he's omniscient. That means if he's everywhere at the same time, then he knows everything. And if he's all of that, then he's all powerful to actually exact judgment upon what you thought you were getting away with. Because ain't nobody know this, because that secret, bread eaten in secret, it's pleasant. Yeah, until the bows come off. And then you figure out what you actually got. But that's what she does. That's what evil does. And doing it in such a way that when she traps the person who she catches, because she's watching them, says, but he knoweth not that the dead are in there, and that her guests are in the depths of hell. He doesn't know when evil is enticing them, he or she, come in this house. But what I'm not going to tell you is there's death in this house. Yes. There's death in this house. When we say, man, they're walking around breathing and just as dead as a hammer, there's death in this house. But what we don't know is when wisdom is calling out and crying out in the concourse and saying, hey, this is the right way. But when we continue to ignore it and keep going in the house of stupidity and evil and wicked, what evil is not going to tell you is, I'm going to just add another dead soul and another dead body to my house full of death. Because ultimately, here's what the devil wants. He wants to take all of you and you and you and you and me and drag us down to hell with him. Yes. That's what he wants. Yes. And as a thinking person, and you don't have to be a PhD. You don't have to know anything about the square root of 9. You don't have to know anything about the theory of relativity. All you have to do is listen. Okay, I will make your life pleasant and wonderful. You will be fruitful. You will be productive. You will live a good life. And then when you die, I'll bring you to heaven with me. Well, I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to turn you upside down. I'm going to kick you in your teeth. I'm going to do everything I'm big enough to do. I'm going to kill you. And I'm going to drag you down to hell with me. Now, choose. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, I want that. Give me that. But look at all these empty seats. So you figure it out. Y'all smart enough that you can put 2 and 2 together and go, that's 4 every day. Any questions, comments? All right, so now, young lady, we go to the Proverbs themselves. And he says it. Look at chapter 10. Now, the Proverbs of Solomon. Now, we know as we started this, there was thousands that didn't make the book. That his attendants heard him saying, heard him speaking, heard him talking about, but they didn't write it down. 3,000 that he uttered, but not written within the Proverbs. Now, we also understand this. He did not write all of these. Some of his counselors, because it took time. This is not, it's just like Psalms. It didn't happen. He sat down one day and said, let me just write these Proverbs out. I'm going to go all the way from 1, and I'm going to stop at chapter 31. And then we'll go to Ecclesiastes. That's not the way that happened. But in this case, those things that they did write down and those things that they did hear from him, because after all, we're talking about a king who the world had never seen with this kind of wisdom before. So it's only proper that we would write down some of those Proverbs of Solomon. So we start. And here's what he says. And you heard these all your life. We talked about it earlier this morning. The things that your mamas and daddies used to say to you and your grandmas and your granddaddies, those proverbs that had the meaning within what they were telling you. And I can prove it. Because here's what I did this morning. Watch this. A hard head, I rest my case. Give him enough rope. Make your bed. I rest my case. Watch this. A wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mama. Let me think about that. Why? A son who has been given the proper training because his daddy and his mama are there in place saying, okay, I love you this much, so here's what I want to do. I want to set you up. I want to teach you. I want to train you. I want to provide for you. I want to give you every tool, every opportunity so that you can make the most of your life, because after all, God said this. He gave his son so that you can have life and that more abundantly. You know what he's literally saying? I know the potential in you, but because it got all messed up with the fall, Jesus is going to die so that he will make a way so that the potential that's in you, you can reach to the fullest. Makes sense, doesn't it? So all of you, when you think about it, that's exactly what you did. That's exactly what you're doing. Your little Lauren and oh my gosh, what's her name? Leilani. Basically what you're doing is saying, okay, sometimes you hear me pray this as a soft lump of clay. Lord, shape me, mold me as an empty pitcher. Fill me with your precious Holy Spirit. That's what you're doing. You are taking those little soft lumps of clay and you're just all kinds of stuff. You don't believe it? Children whose skull is not fully formed, they literally were molded. Sometimes if it's so bad, they take a helmet and they put on it. So when they take it off after the appointed time, you look at it and you go, well, that's a well-formed head, ain't it? That's what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. And thank God if you have that type of parent, that they gave you all the stuff. They gave you the wherewithal, the vehicles, the knowledge, the tools, that I can just follow this course and everything's going to be good. That's a good thing. And then he turns around and he says, well, the wise son who takes advantage of that maketh a glad father when he does what is expected. And God says, you know what? I ain't no different. If I give you everything you need to succeed, then you make me happy when I see you being successful. Can you imagine the pain that it must cause God when he looks at his creation and he goes, wow. And he looks at the hatred. He looks at the murder and the robbing and the raping and the abuse and the lying and the mistreatment. And he looks back and he said, hang on a second. I know I did this. I know I had Moses write this because it's in the book of Genesis. I know I did. I know I had him write, come let us make a man. And let us make him in our likeness and in our image. So I know I set them up initially so that compassion and love and kindness and understanding and patience and protection, I put all of that in them. So I set them up to succeed. And a snake came in and he messed it up. But I fixed it. I fixed it. Where the first Adam messed up, I sent the second Adam to make it right. So they have no excuse. But I still watch them. And I even took it a step further. I said, now that I've called my son back and he's seated where he's supposed to be, I sent the Holy Ghost to guide you and protect you and share with you and teach you and train you. So there's no excuse. And I offered it to everybody because I said, whosoever will. The table is set. If you're hungry, come and eat. If you're thirsty, come and drink. But can you imagine when he sits and he watches? Then you get the second part of that verse. You get the second part of that verse. But a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. Matthew Henry says it like this. He says, especially for the mama who carried you in her womb for 9 months. You were directly connected to her. And God don't make mistakes. The only way you could breathe is by her umbilical cord that was connected to you. You ate for 9 months. You ain't got no teeth. There wasn't nothing being served to you. And from now, your umbilical cord was connected to your mama. So when she ate, the nutrients, the proteins, the nourishment that was flowing in her was flowing through you, to you, through her. So all of that, and then all of those nights she sat up with you, and she just, all of her dedication was to you, and then you grew up and you act a fool. It became a heaviness to your mama. That's the reason why we say all the time when we do this at Mother's Day, man, I ain't got no problem with you. Just leave me alone. But there is no greater love in this world of a mother's than God's. Because mama goes to places that daddy will say, boy, I'm done with you. Don't mess with me. Don't talk to me. Don't say nothing. And mama will say, but that's my child. And she will not throw you away. No matter what you do, she will keep a hold on you because she remembers you were attached to me. You were attached to me for 9 long months. I felt you every time you moved. Your elbow when it was on my liver, and your feet when you kicked my spine, my spleen. I felt every single movement. And I bore the pain of giving birth, every contraction, minute by minute, until which time they cut the cord, but I didn't cut it. Because the first thing I wanted to do was wrap you up in my arms. And then you act the fool. Wow. That's pretty plain, isn't it? Yes. And God says, I carried you. I was connected to you. Far greater than an umbilical cord. I had a spiritual cord. I was connected to you. And you got up one day and you cut it and said, I don't want that. Because you acted the fool. But you know what? Love said, but I ain't giving up on you. Love said, I watch you do all the craziness you do, but I ain't giving up on you. And at the appropriate time, love said, when you said, can I come back home? I've been waiting. I've been waiting for you to come back home. Isn't that amazing? Any questions, comments?
he wrote me a letter one time. He was locked up somewhere down the line. He said, Mom, I thank you for forgiving me for all that I've done to you. And I said, but I tell you I forgive you about what? Because of unconditional love.
And every mama has that child that they can say that about. Whether you had 2 sons or 5 sons or 6 sons and the daughters in between. Every mama has that story. Every single one of them.
Because he knows that I love him. I be in his face. And I get on him and beat him up. Turn my back on him like that. He's like, thank you.
And guess what? God does the exact same thing. And Peter writes, for those scoffers, what you count as weakness and God not paying attention, I'll call it grace. Because it's not his will that any should be lost or that any of you should perish. He wants you in heaven with him. He wants what's best for you. So Solomon in this simple proverb says, when you have that blessed mama and daddy who have done the right thing by you, do the right thing by them. He goes to another proverb. He says, treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivereth from death. Oh my gosh, I need a PhD. No, you don't. If you spend your time chasing after the treasures and the wealth of this world, and you neglect your time for God, Jesus says it like this: what will it profit a man to gain the whole world and then lose your eternal soul? Okay, again, let's just do the rocket science thing. Okay, I can be content and eat every day, have a place to stay, and some shoes on my feet, and have Jesus and go to heaven. Or I can ignore Jesus and I can have 15 pair of shoes and I can't wear but one at a time. And I can have 63 suits and I can't wear but one at a time. I can have a garage full of cars and I can't drive but one time. I can have a pantry with so much food it'll last me for 20 years and I can't eat but enough for one meal at a time. And I can completely ignore God, and then I can get to a point where all that stuff, I'm going to leave it for somebody else. So choose. Choose. That's a no-brainer, isn't it? On the other hand, righteousness delivereth from death. But that same scenario, for that person who's lost his mind and all he's doing is chasing this, that, and the other and everything in between, he says, but on the other hand, if you give yourself to me and you lose your life for my name's sake, the same shall find it. In other words, if you die for my cause, then I'm going to raise you up and you're going to live forever with me. That's pretty simple, isn't it? That's that proverb. It doesn't say you're supposed to just be poor all the days of it now, because we're going to get to that. He says in verse 3, which kind of goes with verse 2, the Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish. All right. So that answers your question. Oh, so I'm supposed to live in poverty? No, God says, I'll take care of you. I will not allow your soul to famish. So get it right now. The most important thing where you're concerned and I'm concerned is my eternal salvation. So I have to say, okay, this is the clay, the physical body that houses my eternal soul. So my focal point cannot be on this physical body. And I'll prove that to you. I used to didn't have all these gray hairs in my arm. I used to didn't have skin that was all wrinkly. My grandbaby says, ooh, your skin is so wrinkly. I'm like, leave me alone. Get out of my face, little girl. Your skin is so wrinkly and the veins will push across. Okay, live long enough. I used to didn't have skin where it would break down. I used to have hair. I had long, black, curly locks that just flowed. I used to have all of that. I used to could run. My back didn't hurt. I could see. I didn't have arthritis. I had none of that. But when I focus on this and I don't pay attention what's inside, then I'm looking at the external in such a way like, well, I need to preserve. No, you can't preserve this. You're going to die. Period. You're going to die. But what's going to live on is that part that you can't see. That inside of you that is really the real you. That's what's going to live. So it looks like that's where you would say, okay, here's where my focus needs to be. Because from dirt I came, and dirt I'm going back. But my eternal soul that was separated when God went, that life-giving breath, that's what's going to last. So that's where my focal point should be. Because that life-giving soul or breath that animated me as a person, he's talking about the soul. And that's what's going to last. So that's where I need to place my attention. And that's what he says. He will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he will cast away the substance of the wicked, the external, that which you can see, that which he says, stop chasing that. It's temporal. And we'll tell you again, when you die, who's going to own your stuff? Even if you sit down and you go, okay, the last will and testament of Gary Donovan Jones. Now, we're fortunate because Tony and I only have one son. But you have seen issues and situations where parents had multiple children and they wrote the will, and as soon as the one looked at it and said, but I don't think you should get this. I'm going to contest this. And then they go to fighting over what you left because they ain't got enough sense to understand this was a gift. But then it turns into a point of contention and you end up fussing and falling out of fellowship and losing your mind to the point where now 25 years later you still can't talk. Because you're still mad. Because they got a yellow duck that you thought belonged to you. You're just as dumb as you can be. That's just as dumb as it can be. When God tells you point blank that he's going to cast away the substance of the wicked. Now, substance in my Bible, and you have it if you're using this red Bible, substance is your desire. And Jesus proves that because he says, listen, where your heart is, that's where your treasures will be. So if your heart is right with me and your mind is focused on things above, then those are the treasures that you are laying up. But if it's only right here in front of you, he looks at him and says, yeah, I get it. And you got your reward right here, right now, with you. But you ain't taking it with you. It ain't going nowhere. It's going to stay right here. And you're going to be gone. That's what he just said. And Solomon was in a position where he had money coming out of his ears. He had wealth where he ain't have pockets to hold it. But then at the end of the day, he says, you know what? I figured out something. All is vanity. The only thing that counts is what we do for God. That's it. Another proverb. Listen, he didn't tell you got to be poor. But he did tell you this. Look at verse 4. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand or deceitful hand. We got a person who's supposed to be leading this country, and his hand's just as slack as it can be because he is the most deceiving, deceptive, lying individual that you have ever seen in your life. And God says, you know what? I'm looking at you, and I'll show you something. You're going to become poor because of your deceptive practices. And you can be just as rich as you want to be, but you know what? Your soul is just as broke as it can be. And you think I don't see what you're doing. You think that I don't see what you're doing to my people. And you think that it's okay when you keep doing all this crazy stuff and then you try to divert and come back and say, yeah, but the stock market, well, who does that benefit? That benefits you and all your rich cronies. And God says, yeah, but you're going to become poor because of your slack hand. That didn't just happen yesterday. When Solomon wrote this was back in antiquity. This was thousands of years ago. So it ain't like God says, oh, this is a new discovery. There is nothing new under the sun. It's the same old evil that it's always been. Because remember, the wicked woman is sitting there in her house, looking out the door, waiting for the person that she can say, oh, he's a good candidate. Let me just throw this right in front of him because you're absolutely right. I know that if I put him in a position, he's going to beat down poor folk so he can keep raising himself up. We didn't start with him. It's been going on. It's been going on, and it will continue to go on until God says, you know what, I've had enough of that. And he says to Jesus, go get my children. Go get my children because I'm tired of them being tired. So don't worry about it. When you get to the point where, man, I sure am tired, then tighten your belt, pull up your britches, take a deep breath and say, but God, you and me, we can work this out. Because I'm not by myself. I am not by myself. So I know that you're going to be here to help me get through what I need to get through. Him notwithstanding, I'm going on anyway. See how that works? And it also means this. If you are slack and you're lazy and you ain't doing nothing, you ain't going to get nothing. You ain't going to get nothing. And you can go and just, I wish I had. But until you get your lazy butt up, I wish I had a job. Until you fill out an application and you do the work necessary to get you to the place where you need to go, that slack hand going to keep your pockets just as empty as they can be of everything but lint. And you can't spend lint because you can't trade lint for a shirt, can you? Ain't nobody doing that. Oh, well, I got about $5 worth of lint. What does that mean? I'm being silly now. But you see the proverb and the meaning is contained within itself. He says, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. I think I made myself a note here about the diligent. Did I? We know what diligent means. Diligent means your hands are active. You are actively engaged. That's a twofold meaning. You want God to bless you? Be a blessing. You want God to honor you? Honor God. What does that mean? Be actively engaged of the work of God. That's easy. That's simple. Don't stand back and go, well, God, I would, but. I don't want to hear that. Well, God, I couldn't, but I don't want to hear that. Well, God, I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear that. I don't. I do not want to hear that. That's not me. I'm speaking for God. I don't want to hear a bunch of excuses. I don't want to hear a bunch of reasons why. Because here's why. When you were lost and you had nobody to stand for you, I stood for you. I endured the contradictions. I endured the shame. I became rich or poor so you could be rich. Yes. I left glory to become a pauper. I don't want to hear you tell me, well, I can't do that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Because if I had said that about you, we wouldn't be having this conversation. This discussion would be a moot point, not even happening. So if you think that you want to become rich, then your hands need to be diligently engaged, both physically and spiritually. Because again, don't just focus on the external. Understand when John said, oh wait, I would that you would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul. So here's the proper order. Get the soul right and the body will follow. Because what's on the inside will manifest itself on the outside. So as a man thinks, so he is. So if I've got the internal working right, external will take care of itself. Every single time. There's that little proverb. Well, here's another one. You farm folk know this. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame. Well, if you grew up on a farm, and you can see the fruits of it, even if you don't know anything about what I'm talking about. Because when you go to the grocery store and they got this big box and it's got locally grown. You know what they just said to you? These watermelons were grown right here in Durham County. That's what they said. Or in Sampson County or some surrounding county. We put them in a truck and brought them straight to you. There's a restaurant down in Elizabethtown. I can't tell you the name of it. I know where it is. And every now and then, I'll say, Tony, let's go get some fresh fish. And we'll go down to that restaurant in Elizabethtown. The Cape Fear River is right here. Elizabethtown sits right on the Cape Fear River. So when we really want flounder that are so fresh, she don't want to see them clean though, but when they take them out of the river and they bring them straight over to the restaurant and they put them in the grease and they put them on your plate. That's fresh. That's good stuff. Well, notice what he says. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son. You only have a short window that when you plant those watermelons and when they grow, you better go get them. Because if you don't, you can't put them in the box in the grocery store that says locally grown. So you understand when you plant the harvest, if you're going to plant the crops, if you're going to reap a harvest, you got to get up early in the morning because that's what we did, isn't it? When we got ready to go in the fields and get the tobacco out, we got up early in the morning to the tune of 4 o'clock in the morning. Only other time I got up at 4 o'clock was when I was in boot camp. They would tell, get up. Why you won't let me sleep? You better get out of that bed. Because you understood. And then Paul says it like this, rise, shine, give God some glory. Because the days are late. You are closer now to the end than you were in the beginning. So a wise man understands that, and he is redeeming the time while he has the time, because you understand that when you plant, then follows he that sleeps in harvest is a son that causes shame. If you let the crops die in the field when it's time for the harvest, you ain't gonna make nothing. And you're an idiot. You're a foolish person because you let the time go by, and then all of a sudden it's wasted, and I ain't got nothing. Well, wonder why. You ain't do nothing. And when you stand before God, well, can't you just let me? No. Well, you said in my Father's house are many mansions. Yeah, I did say it. And I told you this. If it were not true, I would have told you. I'm not in the business of deceiving you. And I'm going now to my Father, and I'm going to make preparations for that house. Well, here's that little caveat that you got to pay attention to. Old people used to say it like this. I'm sending up my timber. I'm sending up my timber. If you want a room, you better give God something that he can build your room with. Wow. Wait now. Heaven ain't dependent upon you. No, it's not. But your reward is based on how much timber you sent up. And your place, and he made it abundantly clear to James and John, your place and your station where when you get to heaven is contingent upon what you've done down here. Here's how he proved it. Take these 5 talents, and I'm going over here, but I'll be back. You take these 2, I'm going over here, but I'll be back. You take this 1, I'm going over here, but I'll be back. And when I come back, I'm going to call you into account, and I'm going to say, what'd you do with my talent? What'd you do with my talent? What'd you do with my talent? Well, what you did with that talent is contingent upon what he says to you when you present it to him. Well, you gave me this 1, and I'm handing it back. You read that story, didn't you? What'd you do with the 5 I gave you? I am happy to report that as soon as you left, I got busy. And you know what I did? I took your 5 and I invested in the kingdom. I put it to the usury. I was there. I was up early in the morning. I was checking on the sick. I was visiting. I was in the choir. I was in service. I was productive and I was useful. I was, man, Jesus, boy, you just don't, yeah, I do. But I wanted you to bring it to me. And now you've taken my 5 and you've turned it into 10. Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. Up here, I'm going to make you rule over many. I can't trust you down here with 2. So what makes you think you're going to be all up in my business and all up in my grill up there? We don't get that. Yeah, but if I just get on this slow boat and I just ease my way to heaven. Okay. All right. But God's going to call you into question. He's going to call you in account. And here's what he's going to do. Okay, since you knew how hard I was, and you knew I gathered where I did not plant, and you knew I harvested where I did not straw, and you knew I was that auspicious person, why didn't you do something with it? Well, I was afraid. Well, I tell you what, take that away from her and give it to him. And take her and cast her way out yonder. He never told you that she won't in heaven. But her reward was so minuscule. And she was so far out yonder. People, I'm going to just be all up next to Jesus because I'm going to just be handling him. I'll be just touching him and I'm going to be seated right next to him. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because that place is reserved for that person who put in the work. You don't believe it? Go ahead and retire. And watch and see, isn't your retirement contingent upon what you put into it? We did it this morning. You retired and you ain't never seen Waikiki Beach. And you call the travel agents and say, hey, look, book me a flight and set me a week and a half reservation to the Waikiki Hilton in Honolulu. Okay, Mr. Jones, here's what we can do. I can give you the itinerary. Okay, so your flight is going to leave at 6 o'clock on Monday morning from RDU. And you have a 2.5-hour flight to O'Hare in Chicago. And when you get to Chicago, you're going to have a 2-hour layover, and then you're going to get a connecting flight that's going to take you straight to Honolulu. And we've got your reservations, everything's ready. Your room will be on the second floor overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And everything's wonderful. The sand is white as sugar. It's so fine that you just look at it, you go, wow. I looked at it, and the deacons that went with Tony and I, their wives, there was 2 deacons and their wives, and we were sitting eating breakfast and looking at the Pacific Ocean, and the doves were just cooing all along the top and the greenery. And I looked and I said, anybody who ain't got enough sense to know that there is a God, because nobody could do this but God. But let me get back. So, Mr. Jones, we can do all of that. And listen, it won't cost you but $8,500. And that round trip, that covers everything. It's all inclusive. $8,500? I thought you was going to give it to me based on my looks. You mean I had to work this out? I couldn't just show up every now and then and check off the box and say, I showed up. You mean I can't get that? Even though I checked off the box and I was sharp. I looked good. I walked up in the church and everybody looked and said, man, he's sharp today. I can't get that on my looks. But Jesus. Preacher, that ain't what I mean. Look at it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. If you expect to get something, you better do something. If you expect to be able to have all of that laid up for you, you better not sleep during the harvest, and you better be up early gathering in the summer. Yes, sir. Solomon will wax philosophical when he talks about the Ecclesiastes in the 3rd chapter. We know it. There's a time and a season. Time to live, a time to die. Time to cry, time to weep. You read it. You know it. He is philosophically saying, look, watch this. He's keeping it spiritual, but he says philosophically, watch this. Your life is like a day. All right. The ebb and flow that constantly turns. It's morning now, but the evening is coming. Like a flower early in the morning that stands up and says, oh, look how beautiful I am. And the sun is coming up and the mist from the dew is all over it. And it's just so beautiful and it's just standing up. And in the strength of the morning, it's just looking good. So that about halfway through, when the sun comes up a little further and the colors just look so vibrant and they're looking so good, and you're just at the strength. But then 12 o'clock comes and the heat really starts to bear down. And then the beauty starts to give way because it starts to wilt. So by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's leaning over and it's droopy. And by the time it gets to the evening, it's like, oh gosh, I'm just going to die. Look at your life. Because Nova, how old are you, Nova? 12. Nova, look at your hand. Look at my hand. Your hand is smooth. My hand is wrinkly. Look at my forehead. I got wrinkles. I got age lines. You ain't got that. You're that beautiful flower early in the morning. I'm that wilted flower getting later in the evening. So he says, watch this. Pay attention. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, because the evil days are coming. The wrinkly forehead, the wrinkly skin, the sore back, the arthritic hip, the sore fingers. You can't see. Your teeth, I got 2 teeth that's got to be pulled right now because they're going to fall out. You're going to be such that sitting on a stool, you got to be careful how you get off so you don't fall. Your members are going to get so weak, your knees are going to knock together. It's coming if you live long enough.
Yes, sir.
So when you look at it like that, and we so foolish as to think, well, I got to get my career together. I got to get my house. I got to get my family. I got to whatever. And then when I get old, then I'll come to Jesus. Who promised you that you were going to get old? God didn't. He didn't. You would make a beautiful little heaven attendant. You really would. And he says, you might. Because I'm going to have little ones and big ones and old ones and intermediate. I'm going to have all of that in heaven. But what I'm not going to promise you is that you live to be 85 years old. I'm not going to do that. So what I am going to show you is in the summer, you need to be up early and gathering. And during the harvest, you don't need to be sleeping. Because as he illustrates that, he shows you, you're headed for the evening. And you better not wait. You better not wait till the evening comes. Oh, now I'm going to get holy. Now I'm going to get religious. All right, we got to go home. I don't run out of time. Man. My flower has wilted. Okay, so, yes, ma'am. You keep on leaning. Yeah, the roof is leaking. The shingles are blowing off. The siding is peeling. The carpet needs to be replaced. The plumbing is broke. The AC is gone out. The refrigerator is on the brink. You better not wait. Let's start back at verse 6, and we'll be in August when we come back. What date will that be? Who has a calendar? August the 3rd, verse 7. August the 5th, 6:30. Okay. It'll be in August. It'll be in August. So listen, this is good. This is good, but we still got working people in the church, and these 2 working folk, because you worked today and so did you, and you worked today, and you worked today, you worked today, and you work part-time. Did you work today, sir? Okay, so we got working folk. And listen, I am completely aware that you go to work. That's the reason why I'm really trying to be careful to make sure that if we start at 6:30, most times 7:30, we're going to stop. Now, if you keep talking, I'll talk with you. But I'll dismiss everybody else and you go home. And I get that. But we just went over that. Your time of the harvest, your time of the planting, your time of the strength, when your skin ain't wrinkly, when you're at your strength, that's not the time for you to neglect God on the hope that your strength is going to last, that you can do everything you want to do, and then finally, at the end of the day, maybe give him the leftovers. Ain't what he did for us. That is not what he did for us. So we need to get that out of our brain, and we need to break ourselves from that. So help me out. Let our folk know, and for those who think they know everything under the sun and don't have to learn nothing and don't have to be here, correct them and tell them, hey, listen, you don't know everything there is to know. Matter of fact, that wise man have already admitted how much I don't know and the need for me to be in place so I can know. So that's a lot of rambling to say, help me out. Invite somebody to come with you next Wednesday. And in the meantime, be careful going home. And we will see you, the Lord willing, On Sunday. On Sunday. All right? Y'all be careful going home.